Hello and welcome. This is Melissa McQueenie, and I am a licensed therapist and the host of the It's Your Effin' Journey podcast. This is a place where I share my tips and tricks about what's working in my life in the hopes that you will develop the confidence that you need to chase after anything on your heart. So without further ado, what time is it? Podcast time. It's a celebration. What time is it? Podcast time. Welcome. Today is Thursday, September 12th, and I am here to share my recap of the Disneyland Halloween half marathon, the first ever Halloween Disney half marathon. So I'm so excited. I'm here. I'm wearing my shirt. I'm wearing all my medals, which actually I didn't realize how noisy it was going to be, so I might just share them with you really quickly. I know I had some like YouTube comments the other day, like, stop touching your mic. Listen, this is what it is. I'm in my kitchen. This is not fancy time. So if you are a, podcast elitist and you need professionalism, this is not the place. This is the place where we do and take messy action that sometimes people touch mics. Sometimes mics fall. We're in our kitchen. So let's show you. I'm going to show you the medals. So first of all, this was the half marathon medal. Look how cute that is. It's got, in case you're listening on Apple or Spotify, it's the Sanderson sisters from Hocus Pocus, which I have seen. I saw it like last year, I think. I'm not really a Hocus Pocus fan, but it's super cute. And then, because I ran the Disney World Marathon in January, that's the medal for this one, Mickey and Minnie. How cute is that? And it goes up and down. Disney does like cute medals. Because I did that in January, I got the Coast to Coast medal, which means that I ran a race in Florida and California. So that was so exciting. I got all of these medals, these two from the weekend, and I am here to share my experience. So let me put these medals down so they're not clinking. I wore my shirt yesterday and I was like, shit, I gotta wash it so I can wear it for the podcast today. Now that I'm on video, it matters, right? I gotta dress the part. So I'm going to give you the whole rundown of the whole trip. So how I planned this event. So the registration opened. I got into the half. I still haven't tried to get into a challenge. I'm sort of baby stepping my way into Run Disney. But what I wanted to do with this race in particular, and just going to Disneyland. So my childhood best friend, MB, is what we call her. Her name is Melissa. She lives in LA. She's lived there. We're trying to figure that out. I was trying to figure that out with my kids. I think at least 15 years, because my son is 15, and I believe that she had just moved there when he was born. And she's awesome. She's an editor for the WB. She does editing on the show Teen Titans Go. Real badass. Just such brave action I've seen her take from someone who is more skeptical of things, just deals with some anxiety, and I am so proud of her in so many different ways. But first, moving to California, she knew she always has loved entertainment, always super into television and TV and movies and all of that. And we went to college together at University of Hartford. She went for, I think, media or communication or something like that. And she knew, she's like, there's nowhere for me to go unless I go to LA. So I got to go. And she fucking went. She drove herself out there, and she's been there ever since. And now she's an editor on a TV show. And I just think it's awesome. And then, so another really brave action that I've watched her take is she wanted to be a mom. And didn't have a relationship and didn't have really, just didn't have a lot of options in sight. And so she took it into her own hands. She froze some eggs and she explored adoption and has the most amazing adoption story ever. She basically, long story short, I know this is about a half marathon, but this is awesome. She completed her adoption profile as a single mom last June, I want to say. Within 2 months, she was chosen from a birth mom. August had the call with the birth mom. The birth mom chose her, and she found out she was going to get a baby girl in October. So she went from June to being like, yeah, I'm going to adopt, and sort of wrapping her head around that, to 2 months later, you have a baby coming in 2 months. So her baby was born in October, baby Amelia, and MB went and got her in Missouri. That was another like amazing story. Like my biological mom, because obviously I'm a product of adoption too. My biological mother is from Missouri, and her baby actually ended up being from Missouri. So I thought that was really like cool, and went out there and got her, and the rest is history. So really great reason for me to always travel to California, because I've got a baby girl over there and my girl MB. So I knew that we were going to go see her. That was going to be a part of the trip. And she loves Disney. As I said, she loves anything entertainment, and Disney is a big love of hers, and it's a big love that we've shared together. We took a trip to Disney World together with my parents when we were in middle school, or maybe high school. I can't remember which one, but Disney is something we definitely share. So right when I got into the race, I was like, MB, I'm coming. And because of the timing of it, I figured Kaylin probably wouldn't be able to go because college had just been starting, and I don't really care about pulling my kids from school. So I gave the option to my kids. I said, who wants to go? And obviously Declan was like, yep, anything to get me out of school, I'm down for. And Matikit was in 100%. So the trip was formed. It was me and Declan and Matikit. And Tucker was going to stay here with the doggies, and Kaylin was going to go to school. So we flew out on Wednesday, and we stayed with MB. So this was the plan. This was the plan, okay? And this is a story of letting go of expectations and rolling with the punches. So the plan was we were flying out Wednesday, staying with MB Wednesday and Thursday night, and then Amelia was still going to go to daycare. We were going to spend time with MB doing like LA things. And then Friday we were going to drive to Anaheim to Disneyland. MB and Amelia had their own space and all of that. But we were going to spend a lot of time together and then go to Disney and crush some parks together, right? Like she's a baby, but we can do some things. Well, the first sort of like kerfluffle in our plans was the heat wave in California. So MB talked to me a couple days before I flew out and sort of was like, oh shit, like there's this heat wave. I hope, it's okay, or, it cools down, because that can be problematic, especially when you're thinking about a freaking 9-month-old or 10-month-old, no, 11-month-old, or maybe 10-month-old. Anyways, heat, that sucks. Like nobody wants to run around a fucking park in the heat. So that was the first thing. So what we did was we landed in LA around noon on Wednesday. Me, Declan, and Matikit. We got our car. We're in the line at the rental company, and I get a text from my friend, and she's like, you got to go to Snoop's dispensary. So I was like, oh, yeah, hell yeah. I put it into my GPS. It was 8 minutes away. So I was like, kids, we're going to Snoop's dispensary first. I know you got to stay in the car, but that's our first stop. So that was our first stop. I just grabbed some gummies. It was really cute inside. I guess he opened it earlier in 2024. And then we headed to Santa Monica. So really, I said to the kids, because we had 2 days in LA, I said, whatever you guys want to do, let me know what one thing each of you want to do is, and we will do it. Matikit said she wanted to eat tacos and eat ice cream. So why not go to Santa Monica Pier and do that? I thought they'd have fun there and see the ocean and get to put their feet in the Pacific Ocean. So we went over to Santa Monica. We did that. Super fun. And we went back to MB's that night, and we stayed there. Now, we woke up the next day, and MB was like, Amelia's not feeling very well, so I'm not going to be able to go. She set up a behind-the-scenes studio tour at the WB for us, which was so much fun. But unfortunately, she stayed with Amelia. She was really worried about, the next day going to Disneyland. So she's like, let's just make sure that I stay with her today. You guys do the tour, whatever. So that's exactly what we did. Me and the kids went for the tour without MB, which was our first, sadness. But I totally understand, obviously. We had so much fun just such a blast. We did it in the morning too before it got too hot, and then went back to her apartment, went into the pool. We were the only people in the pool because everyone else in California was like, it's way too hot. We're going to be inside. Thanks. So did that, hung out, found some tacos, just great time. And then Friday was the day we were going to Disneyland. So we first wanted to see the Hollywood sign. I really wanted to all I can picture when I picture the Hollywood sign is the cast of 90210 standing underneath it when they're going on that camping trip and like arm in arm, like friends forever. So that's exactly what we did. We went up to Griffith Observatory. Declan was feeling it because it reminded him all of his Grand Theft Auto courses. I don't know. He was like, I know this road. This is the way we go because I know Grand Theft Auto. So drove to Disneyland, and immediately our first objective was to get my bib picked up. I didn't want to worry about the expo anymore. I just wanted to go right to bib pickup. So that's what we did. We drove right. The bib pickup was in the Disneyland Hotel. Now, I know nothing about Disneyland. I've been there a couple times, but my comfort level is really Disneyland. So Disney World. Disneyland is like an unknown territory for me. So right from the get-go, no clue where we were going, what we were doing, but we found the parking lot and followed the signs to the expo. Got my bib, and then right when you get your bib and you go through the expo, there are no signs to get you back to where you came from. So that was like the first, I was like, oh my God, do they even know what they're doing? Because I had heard from several Run Disney people that the race that they did, now Disneyland used to do races, and then I think they went away because of COVID. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure they went away because of COVID. So they brought back a race in January, and I guess it was very disorganized. So I sort of had that on my radar, like, oh God, are they gonna know what they're doing? So I was a little bit annoyed because it was really fucking hot at this point. I had my bib. You don't want to, if I'm walking in hot like that, like 113 degrees in a parking lot, I want to be sure that I'm heading in the right direction. The worst possible thing is heading in a wrong direction in a fucking hot-ass parking lot, and it's 113 degrees and you don't know where you're going. None of them really knew how to direct us back to the parking lot, which was a little bit frustrating. And I kept saying, I'm like, why aren't there signs? Like, you guided me all the way here. You got to guide me back now. But we ended up finding it, and we went back to the hotel room for a while. Ended up going to Disneyland that day. I think the hot temperatures kept a lot of people out of the parks because the lines were pretty good and we got a lot done. Now, this was my first lesson of the trip. And this is my YOLO lesson, right? You only live once, and not even just YOLO. It's now is the time. Not then, now. So we knew that the plan was for MB and Amelia to come to Disney that day, and we were going to be meeting them for rope drop, which, if you're not familiar, it just means you enter the park right when it opens. We were going to meet them for rope drop at Disneyland the next day. So we sort of had on our radar, we're going to do all the rides that Amelia can't do because she's a baby today, and we're going to save the little kid rides for tomorrow. Now, I know in a perfect world, this was a great idea, right? We hold off on doing some things. We do the things that she certainly can't do. But you never know what's going to come, guys, right? Nothing is guaranteed to us. Tomorrow's not guaranteed to us. We have no idea. I mean, on a super dramatic level, how much time we're going to have in our lives, right? Or in any given situation. And knowing what I know now, I would have done a couple of the rides that I know that my kids would have enjoyed that are only in Disneyland. So we had a great day, went back, and the next day, that night, Matica was awake the entire night throwing up. The whole night. I mean, I think it just seemed like those nights, I haven't had one of those nights as a mom in a while. My kids are pretty old, so It's not often that I'm being woken up all night, but this was definitely being woken up all night. And she had a stomach bug. She had some sort of like stomach bug. Lots of puke, lots of misery. And that immediately changed our plans for Saturday. That was the day we were supposed to rope drop, and there was no way we could do it. She was sick. So we didn't know how the day was going to go. And this is sort of a big lesson too. In addition to doing this recap, I also there were these little lessons throughout, and that's sort of how I operate through my life. Like, what can I learn in this moment, right? Because if we're going through something or we're experiencing something, if we can take lessons from it, then we're better for it, right? So this day was interesting because everyone was sort of waiting to hear, like, is she going to be better? Are we going to be able to salvage some time in the park? We're also working against the heat. So, like, the reason for the rope drop is because it's going to be cooler in the morning. We don't want to go to the park later on. But who knows if Madikit's going to feel better and when that's going to happen. So there was a nearby Walgreens, which saved my life. I actually ended up there like 3 times that day, getting, ginger ale and Powerade. I went back because at one point I thought she might have a fever, so I went and got a thermometer. My friend recommended some like stomach medicine, so I got that for her. I got her mini ears and a little Spider-Man stuffed animal. I just felt so bad for her. She just was like, my son lost a day with a stomach bug when we traveled to Florida in March. My son doesn't give a shit. Like, he's happy to do things, but he's also happy to do nothing. So, like, it didn't really faze him. My daughter loves life and living and doing things, so this killed her because she knew she was missing out on, like, a day of fun. So it was just really hard. She was sort of in this, like, why me? Why is this happening? And I just said, life happens, and we got to just go with it, right? Like, the parks are going to be there tomorrow. Hopefully you'll feel better tomorrow. Let's just do what we can to enjoy this moment or be in this moment or just get through this. And that's what we did. We watched movies on the TV. We were staying in the Motel 6, which was actually, like, price-wise, awesome. I mean, I think 3 nights was like $430 total. Logistically, I had no idea about this until I was there and experienced everything, but it could not have been better for the race. Like, race-wise, that was the best place to stay, hands down. But you don't choose the Motel 6 if you're planning on spending time in the room. Like, I chose the Motel 6 because we'd be out in the parks all day, right? And using it for a bed. It's not the best place to, like, hang yourself all day, or hang out all day. The channels were limited. Some of them were like sticky and had a lag, which you really couldn't get rid of. So it was not perfect, right? Like, none of this was perfect. But what was really cool to me, and I wrote about this, if you are on my email list, you absolutely should be, but I wrote an email about this earlier in the week, is I was able, through doing all this mindfulness stuff for the last 10 years, 8 years, I was able to be there and just be with my kid and be in the moment and not focus myself on what we should have been doing or what our plans would have been, or like what my daughter was doing, which she's not as great with yet because she's much younger than me, right? But that, like, why me? Like, why is this happening to me? Life is happening for you, not to you. So if anything is coming up for you that's frustrating or a change of plans, try to put that curiosity on. Why is this happening? What can you learn from it? How is life happening for you instead of that, like, to me, like, wah, wah. So we got through that day. And we were just sort of at a certain point, I was like, MB, it's not going to happen. She's not feeling better. Like, let's regroup for tomorrow. Now, my fucking race was the next day. So this whole weekend was a huge lesson for me. I don't love mixing family and racing. I don't like doing it. I've explained this to people forever. And some people don't understand it, and I get it. It's our own fucking journeys, right? And my journey is I don't like mixing that. I have had okay times with it, but for the most part, if I'm running, like that's like my happy place. I don't want to have to be in mom mode with my mom hat on, worrying about things. And like, let's face it, as much as I try not to have worry part of any of my life, when you're a mom, there's just an element of that, like, right? Like you care about these people and you care about their happiness, you care about how they're feeling, and some of that you take on yourself. So I was getting super nervous because when I was thinking about having my kids at this race, I'm like, it's a Disney race. This race starts at 5 a.m. My kids will be happily sleeping through it. I'll probably come back before they even wake up, and then we'll go spend the day in the parks. Well, when your kid is sick, that all sort of changes, right? All of a sudden, 5 a.m., she could be puking all night. Or my son could get it, and now he's puking all night. Maybe they're both puking all night, and I'm fucking trying to run a race and worry about what's happening back in the hotel. So I started to get in my head a little bit about like, how is this going to go? And also, it was just a really good reminder for me that I do not like to mix family and racing, or running. I shouldn't say racing. I'm not a fucking racer. I'm a runner. Family and running. I just don't like doing it. And I have London coming up in April, and I have a family that thinks they're coming with me. And I just kept saying to myself, I can't do that. I need to keep London for myself so that I do not have to navigate between mom and runner Melissa. I just don't like doing it. And people who do it, kudos to you. I'm super glad. I don't like it, and I don't want to do it. So I decided, because we had all been up listening to Matica puke, and I was rubbing her back all night the night before. So when it came time to go to bed, we were all exhausted. We all went to bed, I think by like 9 o'clock. Oh yeah, it was 9 o'clock. Because right when I fell asleep, I started hearing this like boom, 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 boom. And in my head, I thought it was a child. We had like an outdoor staircase sort of near our door. And in my head, I thought it was a child with a suitcase, like going one step. And I was like, I'm going to fucking grab this kid's suitcase and carry it down for them because I can't take it anymore. So I got out of bed and I was like, what the fuck? It was fireworks. It was Disney magic fireworks outside. So I got Matica and she got to watch it from the balcony a little bit. And then we officially went to sleep. And I woke up at 3. So the Disney race, as I said, started at 5. I knew that the corral was right outside our hotel. Like all I had to do was wake up and walk outside, and there was the corrals. Like that's how easy it was. So I set my alarm for 3, and I think I was out of the room at 3:30. But I was worried. I didn't hear anything from Matica all night when I was sleeping, and even when I was like getting ready, I didn't hear from any of them. But I was like, I hope everything's okay. You know, that's just all you can hope as a mom, as you leave your 2 fucking kids to go run a race. Like I hope shit's not blowing up in the hotel room, you know? And then on top of that, you want to keep your battery, right? And I also love to take pictures on course and enjoy the course and all of that. So I kept like going from like airplane mode to turning it off to just checking in with the kids and seeing if they were reaching out to me at all. So I guess what I'm just trying to say is I was just in 2 places, and I don't like that. I like to be present where I'm at. Like last night, I went to Music Bingo because I really wanted to see Mrs. Thompson, but I also really wanted to watch the VMAs. And so I wasn't 100% present at Music Bingo last night because I was paying attention to TikTok and what was happening at the VMAs. I want to be where I'm at. And make that maybe be a lesson to you if you're listening to this. Like, I am into being present. And if you're not 100% present where you're at, what's even the point? So, okay, so let's talk about the race. So first of all, I don't remember if I submitted a time. Sometimes with Disney, definitely with Disney, if you want to be in a higher corral, and you're a faster runner, or you want to, make sure you're in that higher corral, you have to submit a time. I'm almost positive I submitted a time because I was in Corral B, which is pretty high up. So I got there. Now, on top of this, I was also worried that I might potentially get sick. So going to bed the night before the race, I my stomach felt a little bit weird, but we also hadn't been eating a ton. I took Declan to IHOP during the day before. Madikit couldn't even smell food. So like everything was just weird. I just felt weird and I wasn't sure how that was going to play out for my race. My stomach, I trust probably like 5% going into any given race. On that day, I trusted it like negative 0.1. Like I don't even know what that means, but I didn't have a lot of hope. I didn't know what exactly was going to happen. So I did take an Imodium. I did poop and went into my day. I brought a waffle, an untapped waffle, and I ate that. And then the heat was also a concern. So we knew that, like, obviously 5 a.m., the sun's going to be gone, going to be away for a while. You're running in the dark. So I wasn't really worried about that time, just more when the sun came out. And I'm, not a super fast runner. So I said to Declan, like, I'll probably be done in like 3 hours. I thought that was pretty generous given the heat and who knows about the stomach and Disney races. There's characters on course. So I thought that was pretty generous. I brought 2 bottles, one with hydration only, one with Energize and hydration. I drank the Energize and the hydration before the race, and I carried one with me. I was terrified of them running out of water. I can't think of something worse than running in excruciating heat with no water. And I had heard that they ran out of water at the 5K 2 days before. So I wanted to keep that one with me and just use what they had on course and have one with me just in case there was ever an issue of them running out. I hate being thirsty. So that was my approach. So the race started, I think because of my corral, I started at like 5:06 or 5:08 or something like that, very early. And I fucking loved the first 5 miles. So the first 5 miles, you are running through the parks. You first run through California Adventure. And it was funny because I was saying to myself, I know how emotional I was running through Magic Kingdom and Epcot and Hollywood Studios when I did the Disney Marathon in January. And those are places that I've gone to since I was a child. So they're super important to me. Like I have sentimental memories there. Like they are so important to me. So I was like, I don't know how I'll feel about California Adventure. Like I don't have any emotional attachment to it at all. And I was like just the lights, like it was so beautiful. It was so amazing, so Disney. Like I loved it all. Cars Land, like watching Cars Land. My son, who is 15 now, was obsessed with cars when he was little. So seeing Cars Land and knowing that I hopefully would walk through that with him at some point that day, it was unreal. I stopped for most of the character stops, which sometimes can be a couple minutes. But like, that's what I'm there for. Like, I want to have the experience. And when you're running Disney, they didn't have it at this particular race, but some of them you can ride rides on. There's the character stops, and you just want to enjoy it all. Like, that was what I wanted to do. And it was nice to have that breather because even though the sun wasn't out, it was still hot and heavy, and it felt humid, and it was nice to have that break. So I stopped for Mater and Lightning McQueen. I stopped for the characters from Up. I skipped the guy from Turning Red. I saw Jack Skeletor, and I always forget the lady's name, the girl. Penny? No, I don't know. Not Penny. Shit, I can't remember her name. But anyways, that was fun. So we ran through that. There was cheering in there. The Run Disney people it's just so great. So great, so great. Then you go through Disneyland and going under the castle. So one thing I'm terrible at with Run Disney is the pictures. Sometimes I just don't know where they are. I fucked up one person's picture and they had to like run back and do it again. It's fucking crazy. But I got to get better about that because some of the pictures I was taking my own picture of like the lights and like so my camera's in my face and whatever. So much fun. I loved it. And then we sort of knew that at a certain point we'd be turning on the streets of Anaheim and there were no characters out there. But they did a great job. They had bands and singers along the way. There were people out there cheering. They used to do a Disneyland Star Wars half. I think it was Disneyland, and so they had stormtroopers out there and people from Star Wars like requesting that they bring that half back. It was really, 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 really awesome. When I turned that turn to go into Anaheim and into the streets of Anaheim was when the sun was coming up, and it was a gorgeous sunrise. But you also knew, like, all right, this is gonna get dicey. So now at this point of the race, we had just come from Disneyland, and I had just waited in line for Chip and Dale and Goofy, which hands down I would choose that decision 9 out of 10 times. No, 11 out of 10 times. Like, I would never not wait for Goofy. Chip and Dale maybe not, but Goofy 100%. Like an OG Mickey and Friends character, hell yeah. So I waited, and it was a long line. Now, one thing that has gotten me in many races in the history of me running is waiting. Like, that's the worst thing you can do. It's the worst thing I can do. Maybe you are great at waiting, and then you can run again. My legs are like, fuck you. It doesn't matter how long I've been running. It doesn't matter how long I need to be running. If I stop, they don't want to go again. So at that point, it becomes, what intervals can I do to get me through this race? Because for me, even though I probably could have walked and been okay, I don't even like to intentionally walk a 5K. Like, that's a long time for me to like be like, okay, I'm going to walk. I don't like that. So I'm like, okay, I got to just keep an interval going. I tried a minute walk, a minute run, 30-second walk. Couldn't really hold that. Tried 30 and 30. Tried just walking for a while. Like, I tried 1,000 different things. Nothing really felt good. I just felt really tired. And, blame that on the kids or Matikit being sick. Blame that on, I don't know, whatever, the heat. I don't really know what it was. And I really don't care. Like, when it comes to races like this, and I know some people are like, well, my pace, my speed, like, I don't give a fuck. I'm out there doing a half marathon. I'm going to celebrate the shit out of that. It doesn't matter how fast I do it or how slow I do it. Now, at this point, though, during the streets of Anaheim, I saw a sign, and it said, like, this is no time to be demure. This is no time to be mindful. You've got a half marathon to run. So Matikit is all about the demure and mindful. So I took a picture. I sent it to her. She said that she was feeling great. So I got word at this point, because it was like 7 o'clock, so I think she was finally waking up. I got word that she was okay. So that made me feel 1,000 times better. She told me Declan was fine, and then I could sort of just like be. And I didn't have to worry so much. I knew everything was okay. She was cheering me on, super supportive, and I felt a lot better at that point. Now, at like I think it was 11, we got to run through the Angels Stadium, which was super cool. What I loved that they did, like, even though they couldn't have the characters on course for whatever reason, as I said, they set up the bands. They had tons of on-course entertainment. They set up this stadium that we could run through, and that was so awesome. So we went through the tunnel, like, onto the field. They had a huge Disneyland half sign on the screen, and they were saying all of our names. So as we came around and went underground, you could see yourself on the video and you could hear your name. I think they did everybody's name. So it was really like a nice thing. And then as you exited, there was only 2.3 miles left, which felt like 7,000. I ended up passing my hotel, which was cool. So I got to, I texted them quickly and said, hey, like, come to the balcony. They didn't get it in time. I had no idea we were going to be passing right by. As I said, the Motel 6 in Anaheim is such a great place to stay for Disneyland. And aside from the race, we just Ubered to the parks. The Uber takes you right there. It was like a $7 Uber ride to get you to Disneyland. I think we paid $12 to come home, and it was super easy. So that's another little tidbit if you're going to Disneyland. But so yes, I came in into the finish, I was like, it was just so hot. It was so hot at this point. And Jeff Galloway was at the finish line. So I got a quick video with him and finished the race. And then I did it. Like, sometimes I just keep going. And that's what I did. I finished the race, kept going, got my medals, got my Powerade and my water, and then I was like, I'm just going to walk back to my hotel immediately, and that's what I did. Walked back to my hotel, got in the shower, and my kids were feeling good. We got dressed, and we met MB and Amelia for MB's birthday breakfast. Finally. That was the first time that we actually got to, like, we spent some time with them in their home, but that was like the first time that we got to spend some time with them together. So we were really happy to finally do that. And then we met up with Uncle Colin, who that's my brother-in-law who lives in LA. We got to spend some time with him. And then we went to California Adventure that afternoon. Matikit rallied. I mean, she really, I think, was not feeling 100%. But like I said, she loves life. So it sort of was like one of those, we were walking in the parks. It was fucking hot as hell. And she'd be like, oh, I feel sick again. I gotta go. And then we'd like make a plan to leave. And then she'd be like, no, I feel good. I want to ride all the rides. And there was no happy medium. I was like, Maddie, can we just like take it like even? Like, can we just like walk around like normal people? Not be high, not be low, but there's no, Matikit is Matikit, and that's how she is, and we love her for it. So we actually did a lot that day too. I think the heat kept a lot of people out, or a lot of people just like go hard in the morning and then didn't go back in the afternoon, because we got a lot done that afternoon too. And Declan finally got to go in Cars Land, and it was so magical. And I just really enjoyed spending that time with my kids, even though it wasn't all of my kids. And that's another thing too that I was thinking about is Run Disney. And I think I've said this in the podcast before, but Run Disney allows me to do Disney World and Disney in general imperfectly. And I love that about Run Disney, because I think for so long I had this like idea, like when you go to Disney, you go with your entire family, and you go like I did when I was little. We would do the parks for 4 days, 5 days, and then we would go for a couple days to like Miami or Fort Lauderdale or Sanibel Island and make it like an adventure with another city. That is not the way that you have to vacation, right? Like, I can go and take whoever can come and do whatever park we can do in whatever time we're allotted. So if you are holding, it boggles my mind how perfection has fucked me so many times in my life, because why did it always have to be that way? Why does it always have to look like this just because it did once before? You know, it doesn't have to look like that. And sort of embracing that imperfection, and, you know, being okay with not everyone being there and not doing everything the way that we have done it before or the way that we want to do it. Like, fuck perfection and just do it. Like, start taking action, start living your life, because it feels so much better. For me to have been to Disney World in January, Disneyland in September, and like just making this more of my life feels so much better than just wondering when my next Disney trip is going to be, or saving up for it because it has to look this certain way that I always want it to. So anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this. I hope something in this podcast spoke out to you today. I would appreciate so much to hear from you. If you want to screenshot this episode, tag me in your social media, tag me in your Instagram stories, share your takeaways, leave me a review. Anything, any way that you can share this with someone else helps me to get my word across, and I would appreciate that so much. Now, before I leave, we have a mindfulness challenge starting on Monday, September 16th. So, what is mindfulness? It's being active in your own life and learning to live in the present. And that's what I want to help you do in this 5-day challenge. So join me on September 16th. It's totally free to join my community. We have a challenge every single month, and I would love to see you in there. Link is going to be in the show notes. I love you so much. Have a great day. Mwah!